One of the big criticisms that we often hear, both from the readers of the magazine and our viewers on our YouTube channel, is about how rapidly equipment manufacturers release product. So we're here today at the Wisley to find out if one generation of product is a big leap forward from what came before it. Now, my own personal story of this is with the Titleist 913 driver. So it was launched in 2012. The first time I ever hit it was August that year, and I had been struggling with my driving terribly for a couple of years. I put the 913 into play, D2, and hit it really, really well. Right from that time, I've driven it so much better than the previous 2 years. Now we've got to the point where Titleist are launching their new driver, the 915. And the guys at Titleist are confident that it will add an extra level of performance to my own game, and they're confident that I should be switching into the new product. My own feeling is that I'm not terribly keen to switch just because I've used something that I've gained a real level of trust in. So the process that we're going to go through today is to put the two drivers up against each other. Firstly, my old 913 driver that was custom fit, very good custom fitting indeed. And then go through the process of fitting the 915 and see if there is any extra performance in there, and to see whether it'll actually end up making it into my bag. So we're going to start off by looking at my old 913 driver. I was custom fitted for this a couple of years ago now. I've gone for the D2 head, and I've got a Dimana blue 62 gram shaft. So let's see how this performs, and then we'll move into 915.
We go through and look at your numbers. You can see your ball speed's okay. You're smashing there at 1.47.
My strike pattern is a little bit out of the heel, I'd say. Okay. So, and actually it's probably quite a good test because they're not unrepresentative strikes, a little bit out of the heel.
What you would expect.
Yeah.
That's typical for yourself. Yeah, okay, that's cool. You see spin's the number that's really hurting you there. Your average is just under 3,500, so that's taken some distance off for sure.
Average carry distance is 250 and running out to 268. Let's put the new D2 into play.
Very good. You hit that good, yeah?
I hit that well.
I mean, if you've struck that well, then I would suggest that it's not offering because you're going to increase your spin a little bit too much.
Okay, so we tested out putting a little bit more loft on the driver to see if we could get a little bit more carry through the air, but ultimately the gains in terms of the extra bit of carry probably wasn't quite worth it in terms of the spin going up. So we've gone back to the original setup and we're going to hit a few more.
Very good. Yeah. How'd that feel?
Yeah, I hit that well, yeah.
And that's your longest you've hit now, so it's kind of what we said. When you get it good, yeah, you're going to launch that now a few degrees higher, which is great. Your spin rates haven't come up, ball speed's great, that's high, and that's your longest carry. However, maybe with the one before, what we saw is when you get what would be your typically bad shot, maybe getting a little necky, that's when the spin comes up. So overall performance, you may be best without going up in the loft there.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so I've been out testing my 913 D2 versus my new 915 D2, just to see if the guys at Titleist could find me a little bit of extra performance in one single generation of jump up. So it's last year's versus this year's, very simple. And with mine, the reason that I loved it so much was that it was the first time in a while that I was able to find a driver that offered me proper consistency. So something I was able to find the fairway with and gave me a good amount of distance. I wasn't looking to change it. But it's clear and it's important to know that with the TrackMan, you can see how the extra performance in the 915 is really there. On every sort of strike that I was hitting, so I was hitting some nicely out the middle, but I hit a lot slightly out of the neck, and that would be a sort of consistent strike pattern for me. And with 915, what you really see is that spin rate comes right down. The spin rate comes down and the distance goes up, particularly on those off-centre hits, something that was so noticeable when we went through the comparison of the two drivers, it was impossible to miss. Now, the great thing for somebody like me, that having used the 913 driver, and I used 910 previous to that, is that as I go from one generation to the next, there's not a huge amount of difference in terms of the look at a dress. I'm not looking down on something different. The sound between them is slightly different. This is, the new driver is slightly higher pitched, but nothing that put me off. I'm quite sensitive actually to the way that the club sounds, because I think sound and feel, they are the same thing. And with the 915, it still has a really powerful contact sound. It feels like it's going to go a long way on a great flight. The flight between them, again, With 915, I felt my flight was coming down slightly, so it felt like a more penetrating ball flight, but the carry distances were still there. Now, interestingly, because they've brought in the new technology into the 915, I was able to drop down in loft to 8.5 from 10.5 in the 913 because they brought the launch up. That combination meant that I was able to get that little bit more carry through the air without having a flight that sort of ballooned too much on me. So will I put the new 915 into play? Absolutely I would. That's not to say that I'll be consigning this one to the dustbin. That's not true. I'll be putting it and leaving it in the boot of my car should anything go wrong. It's nice to have a trusty old favourite that you can rely on. But this will be going straight into my golf bag as of this weekend.